"Where were you last night?" Ethan inquired, his tone strained as he observed Olivia step into their penthouse apartment. She halted abruptly, her designer bag dangling from her wrist. "I mentioned I had that charity event. Don't you recall? The one that concluded at 9. It's nearly 2 in the morning, Olivia." Ethan Marshall lingered by the expansive windows of his Los Angeles penthouse, the city lights casting a glow around his tall silhouette. At 32, he had already established one of the most prosperous real estate firms in Southern California. Yet tonight, all his self-assurance appeared to have slipped away. The after-party extended into the late hours. "I sent you a message." Olivia Bennett moved towards him, her steps fluid even though she clearly showed signs of weariness. With more than 3 million followers on her platforms, Olivia had perfected the skill of appearing impeccable, even in moments of fatigue. "You sent a message indicating you would be delayed. That was 5 hours back." Olivia let out a weary sigh as she slipped off her heels. "My phone has run out of battery." "Seriously, Ethan, let's not blow this out of proportion." Their 8-month relationship had been a tempestuous journey from the very beginning. A serendipitous encounter at a charity gala blossomed into daily conversations, weekend escapes, and ultimately, Olivia relocating to Ethan's penthouse 2 months prior. On paper, they seemed flawless. The understated, self-made real estate tycoon and the charming lifestyle influencer whose genuine nature had propelled her to stardom. "I waited at Giovanni's for an hour," Ethan said softly. "You missed our anniversary dinner." Olivia's expression dimmed. "That was tonight." "Oh no, I'm really sorry. I totally lost track of time." She stepped closer, her hands resting gently on his chest. "Allow me the chance to rectify things for you. We can go tomorrow instead." Ethan tried to cling to his anger, but her touch softened his determination. "It's fine," he said, even though it clearly wasn't. "I was concerned, that's all. You don't need to worry about me." She pressed her lips against his gently. "I'm exactly where I want to be." Her words were meant to provide comfort, yet a subtle glimmer of caution in her gaze left him questioning the authenticity of her statement. The following morning, Ethan stirred awake to the rich aroma of coffee and the gentle cadence of Olivia's voice. She was out on the balcony, her words a soft murmur. He managed to catch snippets of her dialogue. I understand. I'm unable to do it today. They'll start to wonder." As soon as she caught sight of him observing her, she swiftly terminated the call. "Morning, sleepyhead. I made your favorite breakfast." She smiled brightly, though her eyes held a different story. "Who was that?" Ethan inquired, taking the cup of coffee she presented. "It's just my agent. A brand wants me to fly to New York tomorrow for a shoot." "Will you go?" She shrugged. "Probably not. I can't bear to part from you at this moment." She pressed her lips to his cheek before making her way to the bathroom. "I'm going to shower." Ethan's gaze lingered on her phone resting on the counter, an urge to check it surging within him. He fought against it, feeling a twinge of shame for the thought. Yet, the seed of doubt had taken root. Throughout the following week, Ethan began to observe a recurring theme. Olivia would vanish for extended periods, providing ambiguous reasons about meetings or urgent situations with friends. She remained consistently kind and attentive during their time together, yet her presence became increasingly elusive. One night as they lay in bed, Ethan chose to inquire softly, "Is everything all right? You appear to be preoccupied these days," Olivia said, turning toward him with a serious look on her face. "All is well. Why wouldn't it be? You can be a bit distant at times." She leaned on one elbow. "I'm right here, Ethan. Physically, yes," she sighed. "I've been juggling a lot with work lately. This new campaign is quite overwhelming." She gently traced her finger along his jawline. "But in this moment, I'm here with you." Ethan nodded, yearning to embrace her words wholeheartedly. However, when her phone vibrated at 3 a.m., as she quietly slipped out of bed to answer the call in the bathroom, his doubts began to multiply. 2 days later, Ethan sat in his office when Marco, his chauffeur and longtime friend, walked in. Your dinner reservation is confirmed for 8, Marco said, setting a coffee down on Ethan's desk. Thanks. I hope she really shows up this time. The edge in his voice caught him off guard. Marco lifted an eyebrow in curiosity. Trouble in paradise? Ethan paused, then revealed. Something's not right with Olivia. She holds her secrets close.
Ikan sense italià.
Everyone harbors secrets, Marco responded. That doesn't imply they're negative. She received a call last night and stepped into the bathroom to take it. Who would act that way unless there's something to conceal? Just then, Ethan's phone began to ring. Olivia's name illuminated the screen. Hey, he replied, attempting to keep his tone light. Ethan, I truly apologize. Her voice came out hurried. But I have to cancel for tonight. My friend Zoe is in a tough spot and requires my support. What sort of tough spot? I'm having trouble immersing myself in it. It's personal. Once the call ended, Ethan fixed his gaze on his phone, lost in thought for a while. Is everything all right? Marco inquired. Ethan responded with a slow shake of his head. No, I don't think it is. That night, restless and wide awake, Ethan found himself scrolling through their shared memories captured in photos. They appeared joyful, flawless even. Yet, hidden beneath the facade of their picture-perfect relationship, something was deteriorating. The woman he cherished was gradually fading from his grasp, and he was left in the dark about the reasons why. What he understood was that he hadn't lost her like he had lost Jessica 3 years prior, used and cast aside, once she had taken what she desired from him. The recollection of that treachery lingered vividly in his thoughts, intensifying his escalating suspicion regarding Olivia's enigmatic actions. As he finally succumbed to slumber in their vacant bed, one thought weighed heavily on his mind above all others. What if the Olivia he adored was merely a figment of his imagination? Ethan lingered in his Tesla, stationed across from Olivia's beloved juice bar, observing her laughter shared with a stranger he had never encountered before. A tall man with dark hair and a charming smile. They remained apart, yet an unspoken bond lingered between them, causing a knot to form in Ethan's stomach. You're only causing yourself more pain, Marco remarked from the driver's seat. I have to find out who he is, Ethan responded, his gaze fixed on the two. Marco let out a deep sigh. This isn't healthy, boss. Jessica really had an impact on you, didn't she? The mention of his ex-fiancée's name struck Ethan like a physical blow. 2 years ago, Jessica Winters was his entire world. Intelligent, stunning, driven. They were just 3 months away from their wedding when he uncovered the truth. She had been leveraging him to support her brother's struggling enterprise. The betrayal cut deep, the humiliation even deeper. This isn't about Jessica, Ethan asserted with conviction, though they both understood it was a falsehood. So, why are we just sitting in this car, watching your girlfriend? Ethan finally asked his driver. Marco wasn't merely an employee. He had stood by Ethan's side from the very start, when Marshall Properties was just a single condo conversion and an overwhelming burden of debt. Because she's lying to me, Marco. Last night, she mentioned that she was spending time with her friend Zoe. Now she's sharing a meal with a guy she's never brought up before. Perhaps it's a corporate gathering. She has a significant online presence. At her beloved spot where she's aware I could swing by. Ethan shook his head in disbelief. She's concealing something. His phone vibrated with a message from Olivia. I'll be putting in some extra hours this evening. Don't wait up. Ethan's jaw clenched. Another night. Another vague excuse. That evening, Ethan stood in their walk-in closet, gazing at Olivia's meticulously organized section. He was uncertain of what he sought. Proof, comfort, anything to silence the nagging voice in his mind that suggested she resembled Jessica. His fingers grazed a small velvet pouch hidden within a boot. Inside lay a delicate gold bracelet adorned with a small charm shaped like a hot air balloon. It bore no designer logo and held no particular monetary value, just the sort of sentimental item Olivia typically left unworn. When she returned home after midnight, Ethan sat in the living room, the bracelet resting on the coffee table between them. What is this? What's going on? He inquired the moment she entered. Olivia stood still, her gaze locked onto the gleaming gold coin. You went through my things? I stumbled upon it unintentionally. Who provided it to you? She moved across the room and grasped the bracelet, her fingers quivering just a bit. It was a gift a long time ago. From whom? Is it significant? There was a sharpness to her tone now. It's merely a bracelet, Ethan. If it's merely a bracelet, why are you concealing it? I'm not concealing it. I simply don't wear it anymore. She let it fall back onto the table. What's truly happening here? What's with your behavior? Ethan loomed above her. What do you mean by that? Like I can't sense when my girlfriend is hiding something? Everyone has their history, Ethan. Some matters are personal. That doesn't imply I'm hiding anything. Who was the individual at the press event today? Olivia's eyes grew wide. Did you track my movements? I was grabbing lunch when I spotted you. Funny how you never brought him up. She stepped back. His name is Daniel. He's a photographer I'm thinking about collaborating with, and I didn't bring him up because it didn't seem relevant. The explanation made sense, yet there was an air of rehearsed familiarity in her delivery. Perhaps Ethan was merely searching for deceit, perceiving shadows where none existed. You've been distant for weeks, he said, his tone softening. Late nights, missed dinners, calls taken in secrecy. What am I meant to believe? You're meant to have faith in me. Tears brimmed in her eyes. I've never given you a reason not to. That night, they lay on opposite sides of the bed, a vast expanse of unvoiced thoughts separating them. 3 days later, Olivia requested to borrow Ethan's car. My friend's car broke down, and she needs assistance transporting some things across town, she explained. Your SUV would be ideal. Ethan passed the keys without hesitation, striving to restore the trust that had been lost between them. Upon her return hours later, there was an undeniable lightness about her, a hint of happiness that contrasted sharply with the tension that had hung over their relationship all week. The following morning, as Ethan prepared to get into his car, he spotted something in the back seat, a small, sparkly earring shaped like a butterfly, clearly a child's. He lifted it up when Olivia joined him for breakfast. Discovered this in my vehicle. Do you have any thoughts on its origin? She cast a fleeting look at it, her face a mask of composure. Ah, that must be from when I assisted my friend with moving things yesterday. Her daughter was with us. You didn't mention a child. I didn't think I needed to provide a complete list of passengers for a 2-hour favor, she remarked with a strained chuckle. Ethan slipped the earring into his pocket, nodding as though he believed her story. Yet, later that day, he found himself scrutinizing her phone while she was in the shower, an act he had never considered before. Her text messages held no red flags, but her rideshare history unveiled several trips to an address in Boyle Heights, a neighborhood distant from her typical spots. That evening, as she pressed her lips to his in farewell before yet another work crisis, Ethan resolved to take matters into his own hands. If Olivia refused to reveal the truth, he would uncover it himself. I think I'm losing my mind, Ethan admitted to Marco the following day as they headed to a meeting. You're not losing your mind. You're in love and afraid, Marco said. But this fixation isn't the solution. So what is? Should I just sit back and let her shatter my heart like Jessica did? Marco stopped the car and turned to confront his boss and friend. Jessica was someone who viewed you merely as a source of financial support. Olivia possesses her own finances and has established her own professional path. What do you believe her intentions are? The inquiry lingered, suspended in the atmosphere. What was Ethan truly fearful of? Was Olivia unfaithful, taking advantage of him? Or was it something else altogether? I just need to uncover what she's concealing, Ethan declared at last. These excursions to Boyle Heights, the late nights, the secrecy, it's all intertwined, Marco replied, shaking his head. Whatever you have in mind, just don't. Just talk to her honestly. Yet, as Ethan gazed out the window at the bustling city below, a different idea began to take shape in his mind. One sparked by a tale his father had shared long ago about a CEO who donned the guise of a janitor to grasp the issues plaguing his company from within. "Do you recall my dad's story about Samir?" Ethan inquired abruptly. Marco's gaze sharpened. "Ethan, no. Whatever you're thinking. I need to see her world through different eyes." Ethan cut in. "Without her knowing it's me." The echoes of his past urged him toward a choice that would alter everything, not only with Olivia but also in the way he perceived himself. "This is absolutely outrageous. You're aware of that, aren't you?" "Here, let me help you with that," Marco said, assisting Ethan in adjusting the fake beard. They found themselves in Marco's humble abode in Echo Park, a stark contrast to Ethan's opulent high-rise. "I prefer thorough," Ethan replied, scrutinizing his reflection in the mirror. The beard, glasses, and meticulously applied makeup added at least a decade to his appearance. His typically flawless hair was concealed beneath a well-worn cap, and his designer attire had been swapped for simple jeans and a button-up shirt. There's a delicate balance between being meticulous and crossing into obsession boss. Ethan brushed off the remark, concentrating instead on perfecting a subtle accent, something reminiscent of the Middle Eastern character from his father's tales. Samir, the driver who observed it all yet remained silent. "How's my voice?" he inquired, his tone imbued with a delicate cadence. Marco flinched. "Borderline offensive. Perhaps forgo the accent." 3 hours later, Ethan found himself behind the wheel of Marco's personal vehicle, a practical Honda Civic that stood in stark contrast to his collection of luxury cars. He had signed up as a driver on a high-end rideshare platform that served celebrities and the affluent, precisely the type Olivia frequented. His phone chimed with the arrival of his initial request. It wasn't Olivia, yet it marked the beginning. Over the course of the next 2 days, Ethan navigated the streets of Los Angeles, transporting unfamiliar faces while honing his craft as the inconspicuous Samir. He mastered the art of blending into the background, keenly aware of the dialogues around him while maintaining an air of nonchalance. On the 3rd day it occurred, a request from Olivia Bennett for a ride from her beloved boutique in Beverly Hills. "Hello, miss?" Ethan murmured gently as she settled into the back seat, his heart racing in his chest. "Where to today?" Olivia hardly glanced away from her phone. "Boyle Heights, if you would. I'll guide you when we get close." As he drove, Ethan observed her in the rearview mirror, taking note of her demeanor when she believed no one significant was watching. She appeared weary, the flawless Instagram smile giving way to something more authentic and exposed. "Long day," he ventured. She caught his gaze in the mirror, a subtle smile playing on her lips. "Yeah, you could say that. This is far from your usual neighborhoods," he remarked as they stepped into East LA. "Sometimes the best parts of life are far from the usual," she responded, her tone gentle. "Make a left turn at this point." They arrived at a humble abode, its paint flaking away, while potted plants decorated the quaint little porch. Olivia collected a number of shopping bags from her side. "Could you wait? I won't be long." "Of course, miss." Ethan observed her as she made her way to the house, taking note of how she simply walked in without knocking. Whoever resided there, she was evidently well acquainted with them. 15 minutes later, she stepped out without anything in her hands, her demeanor noticeably brighter. As they made their way back to Beverly Hills, she caught him off guard by starting a conversation. "You're new, aren't you? I haven't seen you around before." "Yes, miss. I began this week. May I ask what your name is?" "Samir," she smiled. "I'm Olivia, and please no mistakes. Makes me feel ancient." "As you wish, Olivia." After dropping her off, Ethan sat in his car, emotions clashing within him. The Olivia he'd just driven was both known and foreign, the woman he loved, yet undeniably living a life apart from the one they once shared. In the days that followed, Ethan, under the guise of Samir, established himself as Olivia's preferred driver. She made a point to request him, expressing her admiration for his calm demeanor and subtlety. On 3 occasions, he transported her to the residence in Boyle Heights. Every time she stepped out, she appeared more serene than before. On one occasion, a child rushed out to welcome her. A little girl no older than 7, with dark pigtails and a charming gap-toothed grin. She donned butterfly earrings that matched the one Ethan had discovered in his car. "That's Luna," Olivia said, meeting his eyes in the rearview mirror. "She's one of a kind. How is your family doing?" Ethan inquired with caution. Olivia's expression darkened. "In a way that matters more than blood." As he drove her home that evening, Ethan's thoughts swirled with questions. Who was this child? And what about the house? Who resided there? The hidden life Olivia was concealing wasn't what he dreaded. Yet the enigma had only grown more intricate. Back at his penthouse, Ethan gazed at the meticulously arranged photos on the wall. The woman in those images felt like a stranger now, a stunning exterior concealing a far more intricate reality underneath. The butterfly earring rested on his nightstand, a small reminder of how little he genuinely understood about the woman he adored. "Now she refers to you as Samir. This is becoming quite the situation," Marco remarked, assisting Ethan in peeling off the beard adhesive in his apartment bathroom. "You've been playing taxi driver for almost 2 weeks. Ethan grimaced as the spirit gum tugged at his skin. "I am uncovering the true essence of her being. A house she frequents, where a little girl named Luna resides. Have you thought that perhaps she's simply engaging in charitable acts and prefers not to come across as boastful about it?" Marco offered him a towel. "Some individuals genuinely perform good deeds without broadcasting it. So why fabricate a story? Why claim she's dealing with work emergencies when she's really in Boyle Heights?" Marco rested against the doorframe. "Perhaps it's because her affluent boyfriend hails from a realm where altruism only exists if there's a financial incentive." The remark pierced, yet Ethan moved past them. "I'm returning tomorrow. There was an older woman present as well. I have to determine their connection to Olivia." "And then what? Uncover the truth about your secret observations of her while in disguise?" "That'll go over well," Ethan thought, but he found himself at a loss for words. The facade had evolved beyond his control, and he found himself trapped with no clear escape in sight. The following afternoon, Samir collected Olivia from a photo shoot. She appeared drained, the flawless smile she had upheld for the cameras now substituted by a tired demeanor. "Boyle Heights again?" he inquired as she took her place in the back seat. "Yes, please." She locked eyes with him through the mirror. "You might find it odd that someone like me visits so frequently." "It is not for me to judge, Miss Olivia," he amended. She chuckled gently. "That's why I appreciate you, Samir. No judgment." As they drove, she found herself sharing thoughts with him. This unfamiliar person she believed she'd never encounter beyond the confines of the car. Life has a peculiar way of unfolding, doesn't it? Individuals perceive only what you choose to reveal, believing they understand you fully. Ethan's fingers clenched around the steering wheel, reflecting the truth that many conceal aspects of their true selves. "Not conceal," she remarked with contemplation. "Protect. Some things are too important, too precious to share with a world that only wants to consume them." Upon arriving at the house, Ethan resolved to take action. "I can wait if you require a lift home." "Actually," she hesitated, "would you like to come in? Just for some water or something? It's hot today." Stunned by the invitation, Ethan nodded. He followed her to the door, his heart pounding. This was the moment he would uncover her secret. The house, though modest, was tidy, adorned with mismatched furniture and walls displaying children's artwork. A delicate woman in her 70s occupied a recliner by the window, an oxygen tank positioned beside her. Upon spotting Olivia, her weary expression brightened. "Livy, and you brought along a companion." "This is Samir, my driver," Olivia said, planting a kiss on the woman's cheek. "Samir, this is Marta." "A pleasure," Ethan said, shaking her delicate hand. "Tia Livy." The young girl from earlier rushed in, leaping into Olivia's embrace. "Did you bring the medicine?" "Of course I did, Butterfly." Olivia pulled a bag of prescription bottles from her purse, revealing something else as well. With a gentle motion, she presented Luna with a small package. The young one tore off the wrapping with excitement, uncovering a delightful picture book. The story featuring the canine astronaut. Much appreciated. As Luna dashed away with her prize, Marta spoke to Samir in a faint tone. My granddaughter has grand aspirations, the cosmos, the moon. Olivia nurtures her creativity. And her medication, Olivia interjected softly. Marta's insurance doesn't cover everything Luna needs. Ethan sensed the world tilting around him. This was Olivia's hidden truth. Not a secret romance or a hidden existence, but an act of kindness? Kin. How do you know them? He inquired while Olivia busied herself with the medication in the kitchen. Marta was our housekeeper during my childhood, she answered, her gaze fixed on her task. When my parents lost everything and we were evicted, she welcomed us into her home. She had spent months in her living room. A sad smile crossed her face. She's the reason I'm not out on the streets today. And now you assist her. I owe her my entire existence, Olivia replied with sincerity. Last year, her cancer returned. This time, it's terminal. Luna is all alone. As they made their way back to the car, Ethan was engulfed by a sense of emptiness, a wave of shame washing over him. He had harbored suspicions all along, unaware that Olivia had been silently offering her support to a dying woman and her granddaughter. You're very quiet, Samir, Olivia remarked as they pulled away. Just thinking, he replied, his voice heavy. Not everyone would make the choices you make. It's not about being virtuous, she said, gazing out the window. It's about being human. Later that night in his penthouse, Ethan studied his reflection, realizing that the face staring back at him was not Samir's, and for the first time in weeks, he felt a disconnect with the man he saw. You've been living a double life, Ethan said softly, as Olivia emerged from the shower. He perched on the edge of their bed, hands tightly clasped in his lap. Olivia stood still, towel held tightly against her body. What do you mean by that? Marta? Luna? Is that the residence located in Boyle Heights? Ethan's voice remained calm, even as turmoil raged within him. I know about all of it. The color drained from Olivia's face. How? Is it significant? For months, you've been deceiving me, Olivia. She settled next to him, water droplets lingering on her shoulders. I wasn't lying. I just didn't share all the details. That's what lying means. Ethan rose to his feet, moving restlessly around the room. In every work crisis, during each late night, you stood by their side. What's the reason for the secrecy? It's complicated, she said, gripping the towel tighter. Marta and Luna are my responsibility, but they're also private and sacred, and I don't feel trustworthy enough to be part of that. The pain in his voice was palpable. It's not about trust, Ethan. Tears welled in Olivia's eyes. You exist in this realm of affluence and appearance. I didn't want Marta and Luna to turn into a situation where you just donate money to ease your conscience. The allegations pierced deeply. Is that really how you perceive me? At times, I'm left in a haze of uncertainty. You had it all while growing up. You've never had to struggle for essential needs. Is this discussion centered around class? Do you believe I lack the insight to comprehend? No. She rose to confront him. It's about preserving something untainted. There was a moment when I expressed that it would alter everything. You would seek to remedy the situation, invest in medical professionals, perhaps even provide them with a new home. Could that really be so awful? Ethan insisted. Absolutely, Marta has her dignity. She welcomed us when we were at our lowest and never treated us like we were dependent on her. I refuse to do that to her now. Olivia dried her tears. Moreover, wealth cannot remedy terminal cancer. The atmosphere grew still, save for the faint murmur of traffic far below, 40 stories down. How did you find out? Olivia finally inquired. Ethan swallowed hard. This was the moment he had feared. I followed you. Her face clouded with anger. You what? I felt a surge of concern. You were elusive, constantly disappearing. Rather than engaging with me maturely, you chose to follow me. It wasn't that way at all. So, Ethan, what was that experience like? Can you describe how tracking your girlfriend could possibly be anything other than a huge breach of trust? He averted his gaze, embarrassment flooding over him. I just thought you might be unfaithful. Following the incident involving Jessica. I am not Jessica. Olivia's voice escalated. I have always provided you with reasons to trust me. Absolutely not. Ethan's shoulders drooped. You're correct. Apologies alone won't suffice. You chose to follow me. You intruded into the most intimate part of my life. Her voice trembled. How can I trust you now? I messed up, he begged. Yet you weren't truthful either. We both harbored secrets. There's a distinction between privacy and deceit, Ethan. What I did was maintain my privacy. What you did was mislead me. She started to collect her clothes, her movements tense with fury. What are you up to? Ethan inquired. I require some distance. I'll be spending the night at my previous apartment. Olivia, we need to discuss this. I can't bear to look at you at this moment. She averted her gaze, hastily putting on her clothes. Do you know what the most painful part is? I plan to share all the details with you next week. Finally, I had come to the conclusion that you were worthy of my trust with them. Ethan couldn't help but recognize the irony in that moment. His impatience had led to the loss of the trust he had been yearning for. While she filled her overnight bag, Ethan stood by, feeling utterly powerless. Is there anything I can do? Olivia paused at the door. Just give me time, and Ethan, don't you dare go near Marta and Luna. You can't go there. Once she was gone, Ethan reached out to Marco. She discovered, he said when Marco picked up. Not all the details, but sufficient. She's gone. I warned you, Marco responded, his tone lacking any sense of fulfillment. What will your next move be? Ethan gazed intently at the shut door. I don't know. For 3 days, Olivia didn't return home. Her social media remained active, as if nothing was amiss. Flawless posts showcasing meticulously crafted moments, yet the woman behind them was missing from his reality. On the 4th day, Ethan got a message. We need to talk. Meet me at Griffith Observatory at sunset. As the sun descended toward the Pacific, Ethan caught sight of her on the observation deck, the golden light casting a glow on her profile. She appeared simultaneously known and enigmatic. The woman he adored and the woman he had come to know were at last united as one. I apologize, he said as he drew near. Olivia faced him, her expression a mystery. There's something I still need to understand. Everything. How did you manage to track my movements? She folded her arms across her chest. Because at times, it seemed like you possessed insights that couldn't have come from merely trailing my vehicle. Ethan's stomach sank. He had admitted to tracking her movements, yet he refrained from acknowledging his transformation into Samir. The weeks of lies, the dialogues, the time spent within Marta's residence. The pivotal moment had come, and he felt utterly unprepared to confront it. I became someone else. Ethan's statement lingered in the atmosphere around them at Griffith Observatory. I crafted a false persona to draw near to you without your awareness. Olivia's face transformed from bewilderment to incredulity. What do you mean by that? Samir, he said, the name heavy with disdain. Your driver. That was me. She stepped back, her hand darting to her mouth.
No.
That can't be. The beard was a ruse. The accent, the attire, everything was a facade. You're deceiving me? She murmured. Yet understanding began to flicker in her gaze as she examined his features, envisioning the removal of the beard and glasses that had altered his appearance. I signed up for that upscale ride-sharing service you prefer. I ensured I was always there when you required a lift. Olivia's surprise transformed into rage. You drove me for weeks? You entered Marta's home? You met Luna? Each question escalated in intensity. You were there, listening as I shared personal things with you and Samir? I understand it was a mistake. A mistake, she chuckled, a bitter sound devoid of any amusement. It's insane, Ethan. Are you following me on this? Ordinary individuals wouldn't behave this way. Onlookers in the vicinity turned their heads, intrigued by the intensity of her voice. "I was afraid of losing you," he admitted softly. "So your answer was to take a job with me and watch my every move, to manipulate me into allowing you into Marta's world, despite my clear desire to keep that separate." Ethan found himself without any means of protection. Articulating his actions revealed just how unhinged they genuinely were. "I require complete knowledge," Olivia stated, her tone unsettlingly composed at this point. Every single detail. To what extent did this unfold? He revealed it all to her, the facade, the voice, the exchanges they had. He had listened in on her conversations with Marta, uncovered details about Luna's medical condition, and unearthed the past connection between Olivia and the woman who had rescued her family. With every new piece of information, Olivia appeared to shrink back, encircling her arms around herself as if seeking solace. "When you spoke to me, to Samir, about owing Marta everything, about not wanting to flaunt good deeds, that was intended for a stranger, not for my boyfriend watching me." Her voice trembled. "I had faith in Samir. I revealed aspects of myself that I wasn't prepared to share with you. I truly apologize," Ethan said, extending his hand toward her. She pulled back suddenly. "Don't touch me. I don't even recognize you anymore. I'm still the same person. I just veered off course." "Veered off course?" Olivia's eyes sparkled with intensity. "You crafted an intricate facade and upheld a false persona for weeks. That's not losing your way. That's calculated deception." A cool evening breeze swept across the observatory deck, carrying the distant sounds of the city below. Los Angeles stretched out before them, millions of lights flickering to life as darkness descended. A city crafted from illusions and reinvention. "What's the reason?" she inquired at last. "Why go to such lengths?" Ethan gazed at the sprawling city below. "After Jessica, I vowed to never let myself be caught off guard again. When you began to hide things, vanishing for hours, my thoughts spiraled into the darkest corners. This narrative revolves around Jessica. You're holding me accountable for her actions towards you." "No, I couldn't bear the thought of being used again." He met her gaze. "But I was wrong. The beauty of what you concealed, Olivia, was truly remarkable. You have consistently backed Marta and Luna, investing your resources to enhance their lives. It wasn't your place to discover it that way," she said gently. "That connection holds great significance for me. Marta transformed my existence, not merely by offering us shelter, but by revealing the true essence of family. She instilled in me the understanding that relationships hold greater value than material possessions. I see that clearly now. Do you? It appears that you prioritize control over trust. You couldn't simply communicate with me or hold off until I felt prepared to reveal that aspect of my life." She was correct, and they were both aware of it. "What comes next?" Ethan inquired. Olivia gazed at him for an extended moment, her face a mystery in the dimming glow.
"I'm uncertain."
"I require some time to sort through everything. I will allow you all the time you require. It's not merely a matter of time, Ethan. What you did has shattered something essential between us: trust, boundaries. You have crossed every line. Is there a way to mend this?" he inquired, a sense of desperation seeping into his tone. "I don't know," she echoed. "But I do know I can't be with you right now." She turned to leave, then paused. "Marta asked about you, about Samir. She liked you, said you had kind eyes." Her laughter echoed emptily. "It's amusing how, despite the disguise of a fake beard and a false name, she managed to perceive something genuine in you that I overlooked." As Olivia turned to leave, Ethan lingered at the railing, his gaze fixed on the city lights that shimmered through the veil of unshed tears. He had discovered Olivia's secret, only to expose something far more troubling about himself: a readiness to mislead the woman he cherished under the guise of safeguarding her. He had transformed into the very essence of what he dreaded in others. Now he stood at the crossroads of his choices, burdened by the realization that in his quest for truth, he had sacrificed all that he held dear. 3 weeks went by in silence, with no message from Olivia. Ethan drifted through his days like a specter, participating in meetings, signing contracts, making choices that seemed to lose their significance with each passing moment. The garments remained draped in the closet. The scent of her fragrance clung to the pillowcases, yet the woman had vanished. "I need to eat something," Marco remarked, placing a sandwich next to Ethan's laptop. They sat in Ethan's office, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased a panoramic view of the city, a sight that neither man seemed to value. "I'm not hungry," Ethan replied, nudging the plate aside. "Depriving yourself won't change anything." Ethan glanced up, his eyes heavy with fatigue. "Nothing can bring her back." "You should have seen her face when I told her about Samir," Marco sighed, settling into the seat across from him. "Have you tried calling her again?" "She blocked my number." Ethan ran a hand through his unkempt hair. "I've sent emails, flowers, letters, nothing." "Maybe that's your answer then." "I can't accept that." Marco leaned forward. "Listen, I've known you for 15 years. I've watched you create something from scratch, tackle challenges that would break most. But this punishing yourself isn't benefiting anyone." Ethan fixed his gaze on his phone, hoping for it to ring. "I can't stop thinking about Marta and Luna. Are they all right? Is Olivia managing everything by herself? There's a way to assist them without bringing Olivia into the mix. She clearly instructed me to keep my distance from them. Since when have you adhered to guidelines?" Marco lifted an eyebrow in curiosity. The Ethan I know would find a way to make things right. That evening, Ethan sat in his car outside Marta's house. Unmasked this time, just a man in a luxury vehicle, holding a letter and a check he hesitated to deliver. As he wrestled with his thoughts, the front door swung open. Luna appeared, bounding down the steps with a backpack almost as large as she was. Behind her came Olivia, appearing weary yet stunning in casual jeans and a t-shirt, a stark contrast to her meticulously crafted online persona. Ethan sank deeper into his seat, reluctant to be noticed. He observed as they got into Olivia's car and drove off, likely heading to drop Luna at school or to an appointment. In a moment of urgency, he stepped up to the house and rapped on the door. After what felt like an eternity, Marta's faint voice emerged from within. "Who is it?" "It's Samir," he responded, employing the name she would know. "The driver." The door creaked open, unveiling Marta in her wheelchair, oxygen tubes snaking to her nose. A flicker of recognition danced across her features, quickly followed by a wave of confusion. "Do you look different?" She observed him intently. "May I come in just for a moment?" She paused, then turned back to let him enter. The interior of the house was just as he recalled, simple, inviting, brimming with signs of Luna's artistic essence. Pictures of Olivia adorned the walls, notably one from her teenage years with what appeared to be her parents, all beaming next to a much younger Marta. "You're more than just a driver, aren't you?" Marta inquired, her tone feeble yet her eyes piercing. Ethan gave a slight shake of his head. "No, I am Ethan Marshall. I was Olivia's boyfriend." A realization flickered in her eyes. "Ah, the one she was going to marry." The words struck him with the force of a tangible impact. "She was going to marry me," Marta affirmed with a nod. "She mentioned it last week. Claimed she'd finally discovered someone deserving of learning about us." She coughed, a harsh sound resonating deep within her chest. "But something happened." Ethan sank onto the well-loved sofa. "I did something I can't take back. I misled her and you. Samir was a persona I crafted to shadow her, to uncover her destinations. There was a lack of trust in her. It was not a question. I've been hurt before," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. Marta leaned in, her gaze gentle and understanding. "We've all experienced pain. What truly counts is your response afterward. I'm uncertain about my next steps. She refuses to engage with me. Livy has experienced a series of betrayals that have shattered her trust. Her father, who lost their home to gambling. Partners who desired her for her looks, not her heart." Marta's gaze locked onto his. "She requires someone resilient enough to endure, to demonstrate that trust can be rebuilt." I would wait an eternity, Ethan declared with newfound determination. Marta observed him intently. Perhaps you would. But that's not the reason you're here today, is it? Ethan glanced at the envelope he held. I aim to assist. With Luna's medical expenses. For anything you require. Your financial contribution is not necessary. Kindly. This isn't suited for my taste. Not intended for Olivia. For Luna. Marta pondered this for a moment, then shook her head. If Olivia wanted your help, she would ask for it. This is her responsibility, one she's chosen. Just as Ethan opened his mouth to reply, the sound of a car in the driveway interrupted him. You need to leave, Marta urged with intensity. Through the back. She won't understand why you're here. As he stood to depart, Marta grasped his hand. When you love someone, truly love them, you respect their boundaries, even when it hurts. Ethan nodded, quietly slipping out the back door just as Olivia's key turned in the front lock. From the side of the house, he observed her assisting Luna into the house, laden with groceries and sharing a laugh over something the child had remarked. The image seared into his mind. Olivia, authentic and open, embodying her genuine self. Not the social media influencer or the ideal partner, but a woman rich in depth, history, and sacrifice at her essence. As he drove away, Ethan came to a profound realization about his next steps. Do not pursue, do not force, do not attempt to solve everything with wealth or extravagant acts, but strive to be the person deserving of her confidence, even if she never places her trust in him again. The parking lot at the Griffith Observatory was almost deserted when Ethan got there, just as the sun started to dip toward the Pacific. He noticed Olivia right away, positioned at the same railing where their clash had unfolded weeks prior. Her hair swayed gracefully in the wind, glimmering in the warm sunlight. He moved in gradually, allowing her the opportunity to see him, to reconsider if she wished to. As she turned, her expression held a sense of caution, yet it was not devoid of warmth. You arrived, she stated plainly. I appreciate you reaching out to me. Ethan paused at a considerate distance, suppressing the impulse to approach any nearer. How is Marta doing? A shadow swept across Olivia's visage. Unsatisfactory. The physicians indicate that it's just a few weeks remaining now. I apologize. They remained quiet, observing as the city shifted from daylight to darkness, countless lights igniting beneath them. I received your letter, Olivia finally said. As well as Marta's. Ethan gave a slight nod. Following his visit to Marta's house, he penned a letter to Olivia, not seeking forgiveness, but simply recognizing his mistakes and the hurt he had inflicted. He was unaware that Marta had also reached out to her. What were her words? He inquired. A subtle smile graced Olivia's lips. You were a fool with a kind soul. Fear can lead individuals to make unwise choices, yet it is courage that ultimately shapes their true character in the aftermath. That definitely resonates with her character. She mentioned that you chose not to take the simple route, that you didn't attempt to purchase your way back into my life. Ethan rested against the railing. I had the desire to. I nearly penned a check for Luna's medical expenses. However, Marta refused to allow me. Olivia concurred that she wouldn't. She possesses a strong sense of dignity. A deeper hush enveloped them, more at ease than before. Ethan mentioned that he has been seeing someone. Olivia's head jerked upward, her eyes growing wide. He was quick to clarify that he was a therapist. Twice a week since. All of it? That's excellent. It's aiding me in grasping the reasons behind my actions, not justifying them, merely observing the trends. He gazed at her intently. I'm working on improving, Olivia. Not for you, yet I would go to great lengths to regain your trust. However, I strive to avoid becoming the type of individual who causes pain to those I care about. Olivia observed him intently for a prolonged moment. I've missed you, she confessed gently. Despite all that has transpired, there were moments when I nearly reached out. What held you back? I had to determine whether my feelings were genuine or merely a routine, whether I longed for you or just the concept of our relationship. She gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I found myself questioning whether I could truly forgive you. Are you able to? The inquiry lingered in the air, tender and ephemeral like a shimmering soap bubble. "I'm not sure at this moment," she replied candidly. "Yet I stand present." That's an initial step. Below them, Los Angeles shimmered like scattered stars, a metropolis crafted from aspirations and renewed opportunities. "I don't know if I'm ready," Olivia murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yet, I am aware that you perceived me entirely and chose to remain." Ethan sensed a change within, as a tightness he had held for weeks started to loosen. He vowed to shed all pretense. "Never again. There are no more secrets," she replied defiantly. Agreed. Neither of them made a move to bridge the distance, each remaining still in their own space. Instead, they remained side by side, observing as the final rays of light slipped away from the sky, revealing only the stars and the city beneath. Eventually, Olivia stepped back from the railing. "I ought to take my leave. Marta requires her medication promptly. May I accompany you to your vehicle?" Ethan inquired. She nodded, and they started their descent along the observatory path, their footsteps sinking into a well-known cadence. It wasn't quite a resolution yet. The scars were still raw, the faith too delicate. Yet it marked a start, subtle, careful, and sincere. Upon arriving at her car, Olivia hesitated, her hand resting on the door. "Luna occasionally inquires about Samir. She had a fondness for him. Let her know he's still here, just minus the beard." A faint smile graced Olivia's lips. "Perhaps one day you'll have the chance to share that with her directly." It wasn't a vow, but it carried a sense of optimism. A delicate flicker that Ethan would shield with all his might. "Good night, Ethan," she said as she slid into her car. "Sleep well, Olivia." He observed her departure, the glow of the taillights fading into the horizon. He pivoted and strolled toward his vehicle, not glancing over his shoulder. There might be an opportunity for that later, if fortune smiled upon them. For the moment, it sufficed to realize that the gap between them was gradually narrowing, one truth at a time. You've just begun the poignant journey of Ethan and Olivia, where hidden truths, doubt, and the quest for redemption weave together in a narrative that challenges us to ponder the lengths we would travel for love. If this story resonated with you or prompted reflections on trust and forgiveness, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who would resonate with this tale of flawed affection. If you found this tale captivating and crave more explorations into the intricacies of contemporary relationships, consider subscribing to our channel to stay updated on future releases. We'd love to know, from which country are you tuning in to watch this video? Share your thoughts in the comments, and together we can explore the journey of this story.